So this week's classic character profile is linked to all the salon happenings that have been going on in Coronation Street recently. We've seen Maria, who's not my favourite stylist that has ever been on the show, and we're going to talk about Maxine this week. Maxine Peacock, the best salon,
the best peacock,
the best person there has been working at the salon, apart from David, of course. The best salon girl. And
why do you think that?
I don't know, because I was looking at I was researching for her and finding about her history, and there wasn't a loads that really stood out for her, but I really used to like Maxine.
Michael, this is disappointing to me. I've always known this.
What?
Just people don't know this because this is a podcast and they can't see me, but I am a brunette.
Yes.
You've got a thing for blondes.
No, I don't.
You do.
Do I?
Yes, you do.
Oh, I didn't realise that. What makes you think that?
You just always I don't know what it is about this blonde, beautiful woman that I find, I don't want to use the word attractive, but something that draws me to her. Is that the same thing?
I just thought that she was a cool, fun character.
What, because blondes have more fun?
And she was a bit of a ditz and everything.
Because blondes are ditzy?
Shut up. And she was working in, and quite often the salon girls, like Maria and Natasha and everything, and they don't
brown
really...
hair.
Shut up. They don't really have that much of a role in... They're
they
very
don't
much
really
the
have
side characters.
Blonde hair.
Oh, all right.
Should I get my hair
Tracy
dyed
Shaw
blonde?
was pretty easy on the eye. That didn't hurt.
Okay.
But
do I need to dye my hair?
You liked Maxine, didn't you?
Not the same way you did.
Okay, fine. Let's find out about Maxine. Now, this was really difficult researching her this week because the Coripedia entry on Maxine was a little bit short. The Wikipedia thing on Maxine was a bit short. Cori.net was a bit short. So I was cobbling together information from all over the place to find this history of Maxine.
So here, for the first time ever, collected in one place...
The full and complete history of Maxine Peacock you're about to get. So if anyone from Coripedia is listening and just wants to copy and paste everything we say for the next however long...
Let us know, we'll send you the notes.
Yeah, exactly. So, Maxine Peacock was born on the 10th of November 1975 and died on the 13th of January 2003. Sad, but memorable. Her parents were Derek and Doreen Heavey, and she got married to Ashley Peacock in 1999, just before the millennium. She had one child, Joshua Peacock, which is more than you could say for Ashley. And her first appearance was on the 3rd of May 1995. Obviously, she died on the 13th of January, and that was her last appearance, 2003. Maxine was in 663 episodes of Coronation Street.
I'd want to go for the full 666.
Yeah, sad. It was close. Well, she was the 76th most featured character on Coronation Street, and this is one episode less than Julie Carp. Julie Carp has been in 664 episodes.
That's so strange. I wouldn't have said that Julie Carp had been in it more than Maxine Peacock.
I know. Well, it's just to do with the fact that there were more episodes.
If you work in the factory too, you're going to be in lots of scenes.
Yeah, that's true. It's also because there's more episodes now, I think, than Maxine. Yeah.
Played by Tracy Shaw.
Tracy Shaw. And I found this funny quote from Tracy Shaw that was apparently when she got the role of Maxine and said, "I'd rather die than throw myself at men the way that Maxine does. I'm not as forward as she is. In fact, I'm very shy."
Do you know who that reminds me of?
Who?
The girl who plays Rosie Webster. What's her name?
Helen Flanagan.
Helen Flanagan started off like this.
She did. And
look at him now.
A few magazine shoots later, and
suddenly people pay you money to take your clothes off. It becomes a lot easier.
Maxine,
right, so let's talk about Maxine.
1995. She was a friend of Fiona Middleton's, who was one of the other salon girls at the time, and she came into work when Denise, who was the salon owner, went off somewhere, and Maria was pulled in to help out. Now, she basically spent the first few years of her time in Coronation Street slowly working her way through the men of Weatherfield. Apart from Curly, he tried his best in 1995 to chat her up, but she wasn't really interested in him. It's all right, you just have to keep trying. She moved into the cafe flat with Fiona, and her first proper conquest was Des Barnes. So they were a couple for a bit, and then she realised that he had been seeing his ex-wife Steph, not having an affair with her, but found out that she was pregnant again, and he'd been kind of looking after her. And Maxine didn't like this. She was very sort of jealous, and she was a bit clingy. Once she was with a guy, she wanted to latch onto him. It was a bit like Eva, I think. He thought she was a little bit too jealous of his talking with Steph, and so he dumped her, I think. She was also chatted up by Andy McDonald on Christmas Day, and the two agreed to go on a date. 1996, she was sacked briefly from the salon by Fiona because she had a bit of a wild night out one night, and she ended up having about an hour's sleep or something, and she closed the salon early. But they apologised to each other and made up, and she got her job back. Then when Fiona moved into the salon flat, Maxine worried how she would cope on her own, so she moved back in with her parents. What else did we have that year? Tony Horrocks was the next man on the list. She threw herself at him on a night out. Now, he would have been another of Fiona Middleton's exes, so she wasn't happy with that. But he was fed up with Maxine by the end of the year. There were lots of short-lived relationships with Maxine, which is, I suppose, a little bit different from Eva. I think the two characters are quite similar in that they're kind of, the totty of the street. But Maxine literally was a bit of a man-eater.
Blonde.
Well, that as well, yes. She would go through the men, but Eva, she's not been, had loads and loads of boyfriends, has she? She was just saying with Aidan the other week how few men she's been with. But apart from that, quite similar, I think. Now, Maxine then, in 1996, got a job dancing at the Gatsby Club. But apparently she wasn't a very good dancer. She kind of was a bit of a last resort choice after impressing she impressed the blokes during a Rovers talent night. But so Alec Gilroy, who was in charge of talent spotting back then, gave her a job
obviously drunk
at the Gatsby Club. But then Fiona also went along to the club, did a bit of singing, and it turns out she was incredibly talented at singing. So Alec gave her a job instead.
So Fiona, okay, Fiona, who owns the
Gatsby Club?
No, the salon.
It went back and forth. It was Denise Osborne around then, but there was a point when Fiona owned it.
Why would you go singing in a bar if you owned a business?
I don't know when she owned it, whether she owned it then or not. I think she just did it for fun, and then found out that she was actually quite good. So end of the year, Maxine gets dumped by Tony.
No one who can sing doesn't know they can. People who can sing, they bloody know they can sing. And they're just being modest. I hate people that can sing.
This is when Curly's love of Maxine paid off, or his pursuing of Maxine paid off, because she got dumped by Tony and then had a drunk Christmas fling with Curly. But she was pretty disgusted by herself because, Curly was just a big nerd.
Minging.
He was just a big nerd. He was pretty chuffed by it. That was he was quite lucky in love in a way. He had Raquel, he had Maxine.
Can I just
He'd
say...
had Maureen Holdsworth just a few weeks before, so it's...
Being an ugly guy in a soap is like being a pig in poo, isn't it? You get all the fit girls. You never get the other way round.
No,
do you?
No.
Think about the people in... I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to be horrible and name any names. We all know there are certain people on the street who are less attractive than others. And we can all name people of different genders and now compare their romantic lives to each gender. And I'm just saying, you know exactly what I mean. Women on the street who are not conventionally attractive.
Well, it's just like real life, isn't it? That's how I've ended up with you.
I'm not blonde, Michael, so I don't know why you're with me.
You were going to dye your hair blonde a few years ago, weren't you? You were going to go blonde.
I was going to dye my hair when I was 30, wasn't I?
Yeah, but you didn't. You
I bottled out.
Yeah. Right, 1997. This is when Ashley comes on the scene.
That's because I'm too fat. I don't want to look like Miss Piggy.
Ashley came on the scene in 1997, so Maxine's future husband, and they were on again, off again for a few years. She quite enjoyed being doted on, so she'd been working her way through the men of the street, but I think she appreciated the attention of just like a nice guy who actually was interested in more than just sleeping with her and then dumping her.
Sexy body.
Exactly. She agreed to do some he agreed to do some modelling for her, some haircut modelling or something at the salon. And he even got his hair dyed blonde so he could spend time with her.
What a champ.
He was completely lovesick because I think somebody like like Ashley wasn't expecting necessarily to end up with the totty like Maxine. She was and
totty. I love that word.
She kind of played hard to get at first because she knew that he would keep on trying.
Keep on trucking.
But anyway, after one quite hot and steamy hairdressing salon, they had a bit of session. They had a bit of a bonk on the beauty room.
What? In the beauty room?
In the beauty room at the salon, they
did it.
They did it, yeah.
Well, the nice thing about that is that they do have disinfectant sprays that they use.
I hope they did use that afterwards.
Yeah, they have to.
I just wouldn't have thought. I wouldn't have thought that the beauty room table at the salon would be that comfortable. To be honest, must have had some nice cushions.
I don't know why you're asking me. I mean, there's a nice sofa in the front bit, isn't there?
Oh yeah, maybe it was.
Why didn't they do that?
I don't know. Anyway,
maybe they did both.
Ashley was thrilled to have Maxine as his girlfriend.
Who wouldn't be?
But she was a little bit embarrassed to be dating him. A bit like Curly, really, when she ended up sleeping with him.
How embarrassing!
She even told her friends that Ashley was her cousin, which is a bit off.
That's a bit weird. I mean, why would you be like... That makes it sound like you're dating your cousin.
Well, no, she went out to a club with them, and Ashley was hanging around her, and they were like, "Who's this guy?" And she was like, "Oh, hey, he's just my cousin." So she didn't want everyone to know that she lowered herself to the likes of squeaky voiced Ashley.
Yeah, but I know, but if people find out that you are dating him, then you just made it look like you're dating your cousin. So not only are you dating a nerd who is not as attractive as you, but he's also related to you. Makes you seem like you've got some weird kind of Stockholm syndrome.
Maxine wasn't the brightest bulb in the box. She probably hadn't thought that far ahead, to be honest.
That's the trouble with being totty.
Ashley dumped her after this.
As would I.
He didn't like the idea that she wasn't proud to be going out with a peacock.
Was he like, "Oh, we're cousins. I'm not dating you anymore. That's gross."
He wasn't the thick one.
They both weren't any, let's face it.
Yeah. Ashley was going through a bit of problems at that time because Don Brennan had burnt down, I think it was the factory. Yeah, he burnt down the factory and then...
Who can keep these things straight?
Tried to frame Ashley for it. But Maxine, Fred had tried to persuade Ashley to have another go with Maxine, and she kind of jumped on that and was very supportive of him when he was going through all his policing and arrest and everything like that. So... They kind of things thawed between them as the year went on. Now that year was when she went on holiday to Las Vegas with Fiona, which was second, I think, Corrie spin-off video, the Viva Las Vegas one. I haven't seen this, but it sounds kind of exciting.
Why don't they do another one? Can I suggest one?
Go on then.
Coronation Street goes to Japan, and they take us along to report on it for our podcast, and also to be cultural advisors because it's very close to my job.
Yes, Gemma knows all about Japan.
So I can advise them about what to do, and we can get a free holiday.
That sounds good. On the cruise ship, not on the cruise ship, that was the other one. In Las Vegas, Maxine and Fiona got arrested because Fiona pushed this sleazy cop into a pool. They also got a bit friendly with a criminal gang who turned out to be involved in counterfeit design scheme, which Maxine got video footage on, and then she shopped into the police. So it was all a bit gangster. Jack and Vera were there doing all their Las Vegas kind of casino stuff, and they were all getting involved with dodgy people. I can't say any more about that because I haven't seen it, but that's apparently what happens.
That's the plot.
Now, one scene that I remember really well.
Do you? Okay. Tell me about
it. For the comedy value.
It was funny, was it?
It was. Maxine one night, in late 1997, was entertaining Ashley with a bit of sexy dancing in her underwear.
Wow. Okay.
Over at Fred's
that sounds
house.
Hilarious.
Fred was off golfing, and I think he'd had a bit of an accident on the golf.
He teed off the wrong way.
He'd had a bit of a tumble. So he came back early from this after he'd been rescued to find Maxine in her not very much tall clothes. I don't even... Gemma's giving me a look. It was a memorable scene. Anyway, she ends up flashing herself to Fred. Which he probably quite enjoyed. A bit like Kaz with Maria earlier today.
He's going to remember that for the cold nights.
Yeah, he's dead now. It's probably the last thing on his mind. Steve tried it on with Maxine later on that year because he'd been going out with Fiona at this time. Fiona was away. Steve tried it on with Maxine. She seemed to like it, but she pulls away because she can't. She's going out with Ashley. He threatened to tell Ashley that she'd been
canoodling.
Yeah, a little bit. And then Ashley wasn't happy.
He found out anyway.
He found out anyway. He wasn't very happy, but he didn't split up with Maxine. Fred told Ashley at this point that they should be married by now. He said, "Oh, Ashley, I were married when I were your age, and it was time that you did something about it." And later that day, Ashley proposes to
Blimey.
Maxine. Yeah, he thought
He's a go-getter, isn't he?
Yeah, he thought, well, why not?
She's hot stuff. What can I say?
He proposes to Maxine, but she turns him down because she is not ready to be tied down yet, and they agree that they're just going to have fun together. You know what that means. They moved into
Underwear pant dancing.
Underwear dancing. Let's just do underwear dancing together. They move into number 4 together that year, and this is also around the time when we had Zoe Tattersall, who was a homeless girl that Ashley took pity on. She'd been involved with the Mallet family, I think, but Ashley took her in, said, "Look, you can stay with me for a few days. I'll look after you." Maxine didn't like this.
Was she blonde?
She
Zoe?
was blonde, yes. And
Surprising.
Maxine got a bit jealous, because you said before she was a little bit jealous character. And she ends things with Ashley. She splits up. She thinks that Ashley is getting involved with Zoe. And I don't think she was. I don't remember. I don't think he was. I don't remember.
Doesn't
but
matter.
Anyway, by the end of 1997, things were not looking good on the Ashley and Maxine front.
Sad.
I've been speaking loads. Gemma, tell us about
You
1998.
haven't given me a chance
Tell
to
me
say
about
anything.
1998. Tell our listeners.
She started dating Les Battersby's son, who was called Greg Kelly.
Yeah, forgotten son, I think. His it was a long lost son.
She throws herself at him and then accuses Fiona of being jealous when she suggests that he is just using her. Then Greg realises that he's better off going after Sally because she's just got £55,000 in inheritance. Who do I have to kill for that? He 2 times Maxine for a bit, but then she dumps him because she finds out.
Yeah, but he just
They always find out. Steve tries it on with Maxine again later that year, and she takes him to bed, even though he's still going out with Fiona. Fiona finds out, dumps Steve, and then she leaves Weatherfield for good because she can't deal with it.
Steve just can't stay faithful, can he? Why is he so lovable?
He's a lovable scamp, isn't he?
He is, just jumping into bed with everybody.
Do you
And
think you'd be like, if you were a woman, Michael, just imagine, and you were
I'll
going
try
out with
really hard.
Steve, would you take him back if he gave you that funny little look that he does? Like, oh, whoops, I guess I fell on her. Oh, Steve, okay.
Yeah. Go on then.
I'll fold my arms
You're a popular
at you.
character. I'm going to stay with you, see if I can
Gonna ride your coattails.
leech your popularity.
Like a vampire.
Who else did Maxine throw herself at?
In 1999, Michael,
Yes.
she flung herself at Vikram Desai.
Do you remember him?
Yes, I
I
do.
think he's in Emmerdale now.
They're all in everything, aren't they?
That was quite a bit of a controversial... Well, no, it wasn't controversial. It was a notable relationship because that was the first time there'd been a mixed-race relationship on Coronation Street since the 1980s when Curly and Shirley Armitage were a
Curly
couple.
and Shirley.
Curly and Shirley were an item for a bit in the 80s. But, yeah, so notable.
Well, they knew there was a millennium coming up and they had to do something
Better do something
progressive.
about it, yeah.
So Audrey was off work because Alf died, and then Maxine hired Tom Ferguson to work at the salon.
This was Dougie Ferguson's son.
Audrey was very impressed when she came back because he was very charming, but she sacked poor Maxine in favour of him. But
Because
then,
he was charming all the lady customers.
Unfortunately, Maxine and Tom set up their own business called A Cut Above, which was in the salon and flat above as a pansy.
I get it.
And so Audrey had to back down. Yeah?
Yes, that is what happened.
That
Well done.
happened. And then, later on in 1999 as well, Fred confessed to Audrey that he had a secret son. Audrey
Who
told
knew?
Maxine. Maxine told Ashley. Ashley confronted Fred and found out it was him all along.
Because all this time, Ashley thought that he was Fred's nephew.
Yeah, it was Uncle Fred.
Fred.
And then it turned
Our
out...
Ashley.
And it was... everyone thought that was fantastic because it's nice that they were father and son.
I thought it was lovely that they were father and son after all that time.
Although, it's a bit of a scumbag move to pretend to be someone's uncle so you don't have to buy them socks or whatever
Yeah.
he's trying to get out of.
Well, no, that's all you can... Like, if you're an uncle, you can get away with saying it's your birthday, I'll just buy you some socks.
That's
So
what
I
I
have to
mean.
give you a big one, big present.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you said?
That's what I meant to say. I don't know what I actually
I
said.
don't know, maybe you did say that. Ashley takes Maxine to the Fresh Goes ball later that year, and he proposed to her.
Well, yeah, she accepted, but Fred thought it was a bad idea. Why did he think this was his idea, like 2 years ago?
I think that he thought that she was a bit
Flighty?
flighty, yeah, exactly, and that maybe couldn't trust her, and she was just going to fling herself at somebody else the next minute.
This is the thing, Michael. You might lust after blondes, okay, but brunettes, they're very faithful and loyal.
Dependable.
Dependable? No woman wants to be called dependable. Dependable?
Very homely.
Oh.
What about...
You say loyal, don't say dependable. That just sounds like doormatish.
Anyway, Fred accepted Maxine by the end of the year. Pretty much forced to accept her by Ashley, but all the same. Because they got married by the end of the year. One of Maxine's friends, Melanie, I think her name was, they were both engaged at the same time, and then she calls off her wedding with this other bloke, and then Maxine jumps in and has her cancellation slot in September. But there was tragedy on Aisling and Maxine's wedding day when Julie Mallet died. Not during the service, luckily. She had the decency to do it in her backyard whilst pegging out the washing. And
What did she die of?
Oh, she'd had this... It was an embolism or something like that. She'd been in a
Aneurysm?
No, she'd been in a car accident a few weeks before, and then there was a blood clot that travelled up to her brain, and she pegged it whilst pegging out the washing. But it was extra sad because
that kind of like what happened to Deirdre.
Yeah, 1 minute, yeah.
Alive.
Next minute, you're not.
You're dead.
Yeah, and that was extra sad because Judy's husband, Gary, was the best man at Aisling and Maxine's wedding at the time.
Oh dear, that's tragic, isn't it?
Very tragic. So after the wedding, they couldn't really settle into married life very well because Maxine's mum, Doreen, moved in with them. She'd left Derek, her husband. And I don't remember much about Doreen particularly, but I do enjoy that. I really remember that I really, really enjoyed the character. She was a bit like Deirdre, a bit of an older lady, but still young at heart. And she was like also going after the men of the street. That was quite fun when she was living there. But anyway, Derek comes along, parks his lorry across the street, refuses to move it until Doreen moves back, so she did. Ashley then got Maxine a kitten for Christmas that year. And I think that was probably the last cat we've actually had on Coronation Street, unless I'm forgetting one.
Why are they so weird about cats? Is it because cats are hard to train?
Yeah, I think it just must be.
Why don't they just get a dead one?
Or, stuffed one.
One of those cow-nut
push
ones.
it along.
Like your sister had, that you press it and it looks like it's breathing.
Yeah, they could do.
That could be a funny joke. It could just always be there, asleep. And they'd be like, where's Mittens? Oh, it's asleep.
I like Maxine's cat, I do remember. It was like a little...
They're all dead now.
It was a little posh one. The saddest part, right, when Maxine was killed, spoiler alert, Ashley was really upset about it. He comes home, and then the cat's there outside the front door, and Ashley's like, bugger off. You remind me of my dead wife, and then that was the last we saw of the cat.
Do you know what?
That was tragic. That was the biggest tragedy.
Turns me off of anyone. I'm sorry, if you don't treat animals well, or you think animals are disposable, or you're the kind of person who's like, oh, I can't keep, the animals, blah blah, can't keep them around. Got to move on. Got to go move somewhere else. Like I'm moving somewhere, I can't have an animal. Sorry. No.
Ashley was supposed to be nice and gentle, and you told Maxine's cat to go away.
There's no excuse for it.
Tell you what.
Like, can you imagine if people were like, oh yeah, well I've got 3 kids, but I've got to move to a 2-bedroom house, so I've got to get rid of at least 2 of them.
Bet David Platt would have kept...
That wouldn't happen.
Bet David Platt would have kept Kylie's cat if she'd had one, even if the cat had been covered in its blood.
He would have kept it under the bed, wouldn't he?
Kept it under the bed, exactly, and
stinking under the bed.
Gemma, 2000, what happened to Maxine?
All kinds of things. Starting off with becoming a vegetarian.
What? A butcher's wife being a vegetarian?
I know.
What comedy japes is this?
Fred was humiliated because Ashley eventually followed her lead.
And he was a butcher as well, when Ashley and Fred worked at the butcher's together.
Did he still work at the butcher's even when he was...
I think so. He just didn't eat it.
It's no wonder, really, because they were friends with Toy and Spider, who are both a pair of massive hippies.
Yes.
Maxine stood up for Ashley when Spider's hippy-dippy friends were having a go at the fact that he was a butcher. And then she let him go back to eating meat eventually.
Yeah.
So that was nice of her, I suppose, allowing him to eat what he wanted. Then she accused Ashley of having an affair with Debs Brownlow.
Which he wasn't.
He wasn't, just don't worry about it. And then she decides she wants to take up golfing because she really likes the outfits.
Well, Fred was going through a golfing phase in the late 90s, and she decides that she wants to do it as well. He didn't like that. He didn't think that women should play golf. I don't remember much about that. I remember it happened, and I remember that she got golf clubs for Christmas or something one year, but it's a bit like, what was it?
I hate golf.
Ardy, he was into golf for a bit as well, wasn't he?
Not the same thing.
They went to Paris that year. Maxine was painted nude by a French artist. Ashley was not happy with this when he found it out.
How did that happen?
I think she was just headhunted.
Was she just doing nude dancing again?
Yeah. And he's like, oh, I must take a picture of you. No, it turned out she was painted in a Picasso kind of abstracty style anyway.
Maxine was not happy.
Maxine did not like that. She wanted an actual picture of herself with her knockers out that she could put above the mantelpiece or something, but you couldn't even see them. They're probably triangular
artistic.
Or something.
Everybody knows that it's okay to have pornography if it's painted.
Yes.
Like on Gogglebox, those
It's
two
classy,
guys
isn't
who've
it?
got that pair of boobs out on their wall, and I just hate it.
But yeah, Maxine didn't like this picture, but Ashley just thought it was funny. Maxine decided at the end of the year, right, time to have a baby. Let's get to it, mister. And she exhausted Ashley with all her sexual demands and told him he couldn't drink. So it's a bit like Michelle with Steve recently.
Oh dear, she was not happy because they did a Rovers Mr. and Mrs. contest and he failed miserably.
Yeah, because she was like completely into him and like Ashley was
Knew
like
everything.
the centre of her life. Oh yeah, and I'm just saying she was like shagging him every moment she could, and he couldn't even probably didn't even know when her birthday was. After sitting on a pork pie in the butcher's van in 2001, Maxine decided it was about time we got a proper car. So
Is she still a vegetarian at this point?
Probably.
Ooh.
Probably not very nice. Anyway, so this is when she learned to drive. He taught her to drive this year, and at one point she nearly runs over Blanche.
There's no point teaching her to do anything. She's going to be dead in 2 years.
And all through this, they were still rutting away, trying to get a baby.
What a word to use, you.
Sorry. Well, they were. But it didn't work because it turned out that Ashley needed a little bit of help from a doctor in that department. So he goes and has fertility treatment at the hospital. While he's doing that, or getting that done to him, should I say, Maxine's only having it off with the doctor.
What, Dr. Matt from next door?
Dr. Matt from next door. Dr. Matt Ramsden.
Dear.
They were both drunk, but there's no excuse, lady. You're a married woman. Anyway, of course, Maxine becomes pregnant from this little one night stand. But she obviously knows that it could be, and probably is, Matt's baby. Ashley doesn't know this, obviously.
Ashley thinks it's his
He
baby.
thinks that the treatment at the hospital works so well that he's suddenly
instantly
becomes
pregnant.
instantly
It's
virile.
like it's backdated.
You just have to hold hands and you're pregnant with
I'm
triplets.
so fertile.
Yeah, this was Steve's problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's probably had the same treatment.
So Matt thinks that he and Maxine should run away together and raise this baby, but she does not want to know. Audrey finds out about this fling and she threatens to report him to the medical council, and he backs off and leaves
that
early.
works for a bit. Now also, Matt's wife Charlie that can be a girl's name. Is also pregnant at that time, but she wants to have an abortion. She's not interested in having a child. She's got a career. She was a teacher. No time for
There's
children.
no time
if
for
you're a
children.
teacher, no. And then he reveals to her, well, Maxine's baby might be mine. So screw you, wife.
So
the truth basically all comes out.
Maxine gives birth.
Yeah.
Ashley finds out. He says, I can't trust you. And then he says, I am going to take a DNA test to find out if I am the father. Then he changes his mind and agrees to stay with Maxine, who is grovelling to get him to stay.
He doesn't want the rest of the street to find out that Maxine slept with someone else behind his back, because he thinks he's so lucky to be going out with
he's a
Maxine
bit
anyway.
insecure.
And he doesn't want everyone to find out.
Well,
So
it
he
would be a bit
agrees to raise
embarrassing.
this baby, and
we find out
later after Maxine dies. Spoiler alert again. That the baby is actually not Maxine's. And not Maxine's. Oh my god, I'm tired.
That was a
everybody.
weird
Sorry.
fertility treatment.
Not Ashley's. It was actually Dr. Matt's. Also that year we had Maxine's mum come to stay again. She'd split up with Derek, and she had a relationship with both Mike and Fred in that short period of time between 2002
wow, what a headhunter.
and 2003, which turned out to be Maxine's last year on the soap.
Being alive.
Yep. In fact, she got killed pretty early in the year, didn't she? Maxine found out that Fred was engaged to Doreen. Fizzled out when they realised they didn't want to get married. But and then Doreen had her 15th birthday.
50th.
I can't speak tonight. Doreen had her 50th birthday. She was acting like she was 15.
Yeah,
Flighty
baby.
madam.
There's no Michael, you get to 25 and you don't age again. Mentally, you stay the same.
And what do you do when you're having a 50th birthday? You have a party.
And everyone's invited.
And you probably should stay at that party. Maxine didn't stay at that party. Maxine didn't stay at that party.
Neither did Emily.
Emily didn't even go to the party.
Right, so
Clonk.
We know what happens, don't we? During the party, Maxine
goes home
to
check on Emily, the babysitter.
And is she walking on Emily dead?
She walks in and she finds that Emily's not dead. She's in Peru. Emily has already been hit on the head by Hillman's crowbar.
But she uses Elnet, which is a really good hairspray.
So she's fine, really. She's knocked out cold, which is fair enough. And Maxine's
like,
Emily, what's going on? I just love that scene because when Emily gets hit on the head, she's watching this scary movie, isn't she?
On the sofa.
Yeah, the background
and
music.
And it looks like she's just fallen asleep.
Yeah. So Maxine walks in, finds what's happened to Emily, and
oh
then
my goodness.
Richard Hillman springs out with his crowbar. And Maxine's like, Richard, what are you doing?
Black leather gloves.
Of course. What are you doing? I just remember the face that she pulls. She does a complete Ron Weasley face, doesn't she? She's like, Richard. I mean, what else would you do? What would you do? We'd all make that face. And then he bludgeons her to death behind the sofa. Not before saying, "You should have stayed at the party, Maxine."
Can't believe you were almost going to do a whole thing about bloody Maxine.
Look, I said she should have stayed at the party.
You didn't say that's what he said.
Okay, he said that.
You should have stayed at the party, Maxine, which is probably the best line in any soap ever.
I think you're right. We use it all the time.
We do actually.
We do.
It's one of our things that we say to each other, which is weird because it's what a murderer says to their victims.
And also, I don't like parties. Why would I want to stay at one?
Because you don't want to get murdered. In fact, I think you would sometimes rather get murdered than stay at some of the parties you've been to.
I am a social outcast. I don't like
social
outcast situations.
Okay, so
anyway, Maxine's dead.
No one knows it was Richard what done it, and he ends up doing a reading at the funeral because Derek, who's supposed to do it, is overcome with grief. So he gets up and he does his speech, and it's like he's going to confess that he did it.
Yeah.
And Audrey realises that it's him that did it, and she flips out and
has a bit of a shout.
She just makes herself look crazy.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Richard had already been trying to make Audrey seem crazy for the best part of a year, hadn't he? Trying to make it out that she was losing it, and this was just adding fuel to the fire, really. But anyway, we all know what happened to Richard. He got found out in the end, but
he tried to drown everybody.
He did. Too late for Maxine though, because she was dead.
She was dead.
Yeah.
But
Ashley let the hot toddy of the street slip through his fingers.
The good thing is that she's got a memorial bench.
She does have a memorial bench, and
people sit on it all the time and cry.
I wonder how many people sit on that bench and say, "Who on earth is Maxine Peacock?" Probably everybody.
All the characters on the street now.
Well, that's
most of them don't know who she is.
Yeah, it's like probably only about a quarter of the people that are in Coronation Street now that were actually there when Maxine was around. She must be talked about. Like, who's this Maxine?
Nobody ever talks about anybody who's not on the show.
They must do.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, it is quite nice because that was probably one of the most amazing death scenes that Coronation Street has ever had. Definitely one of the best murders, at least. Anyway, so iconic on all the clip shows, and it's nice that it's kind of remembered in the bench. And it'll be a bit of a sad day if that bench ever goes, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I remember watching that with you.
What, the
death?
I don't remember watching that one. I remember the canal scene.
I remember. I do. I think I remember watching it. Where we all at?
We were in our university second year.
We were all in the house together, weren't we?
Yeah.
I'm sure we watched it.
We probably did.
All of us in the house, all the housemates watched it. Because she went, oh, and then she kind of fell over, and then he was like, oh, down with a crowbar.
I can picture that scene in my head.
It's me too. But I bet you if I watched it now, I'd be like, brain. That's not how it went.
I don't remember how kind of much we read about spoilers and things, and I didn't know.
I think you always knew when something exciting was going to happen, because I think you were the one that made everyone watch it.
I don't know. I didn't know that Richard Hillman was going to do that.
Okay.
Kidnap the Platts in the car. I just watched that episode, not thinking it was going to be a normal one. I watched that without you, and then obviously that all happened, and you came home from university that day, and I was like, Jamie, you've got to watch this. This is the most amazing Coronation Street ever. Yeah, I don't know whether I knew that she was going to be killed off. But it had been announced that she was leaving. It was announced on the 20th of September 2002. There had been a bit of bad blood between Tracy Shaw and ITV. She'd wanted a pay rise, allegedly, and ITV had reportedly tried to cut her salary by £20,000. So she's like, right, I'm not having any of that, and she leaves. She did say at the time, leaving Coronation Street was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. I've had a fantastic 7 years, worked on some fabulous storylines and made some great friends, but the time has come for me to spread my wings and moved on. Interestingly, it was originally reported in the People newspaper that she was going to run off with Dr. Matt. She was going to discover that Joshua really, that he really was Joshua's father, so she was going to go off with him. But also very interestingly, on the same day that it was announced that Tracy Shaw was leaving, ITV announced Richard Hillman is at some point soon going to be claiming his third victim, and they released a list of 11 names of these are one of these people he's going to kill, and Maxine's name wasn't even on that list.
What scoundrels!
I know. They're apparently on Richard's possible death list was Audrey, Gail, Jack, Vera, Norris, Emily, Rita, Aidan Critchley, who was the teenager who Richard pretended dressed up as when he went and killed off Emily, Toya, Vikram, and then Archie Shuttleworth, who was Audrey's busy mate and in on the on her the anti. What I'm trying to say, he also believed that Richard was up to no good.
A wrong'un.
A wrong'un, exactly. But yeah, none of those people were a next victim. It was Maxine. I do wonder how quickly after that it was decided that Maxine was going to be the next victim, or did they know all along and it was just a big bluff with that 11 names? Like when
they wouldn't lie to us.
Like, well, it does remind me a little bit of the Frank Foster whoDunit. Actually, it's none of these people. What a sham. Yeah, but there we go. So it was. I can't remember. I think as the. Look, I'm just trying to remember looking at the articles online. As that autumn and winter went on, it kind of became a bit clearer that Maxine was going to be the one that was killed by Richard.
Sad news. She released 2 singles.
I remember this because this was the time when I just had Sky at home, and then me and my sister watched wall to wall MTV. She had 2 singles. In 1998, she released "Happening All Over Again." I remember it, but I don't remember how it goes at all.
It goes happening all over again.
No.
I'm Tracy Shaw. I'm in Coronation Street.
Something like that. Got to number 46. I think it was a cover version of something. And then in 1999, she had a song called Riding High. And then she obviously liked the songs where you drop your G. So we got Happening All Over Again and Riding High. I think a bit of that went, I'm riding high, or something like that. I don't know. You can probably watch it on YouTube. And during her time as Maxine, Tracy Shaw didn't get very many awards for her portrayal.
She got the ones that counted.
She did get the ones that counted. She was nominated for the Sexiest Soap Star in the 1999 British Soap Awards. So her nomination's quite good. She also got the Best Dressed Soap Star at Inside Soap in 2002, but both of those paling significance.
There's no point in comparing them to this.
First and best award, the 1996 Rear of the Year award, went to Tracy Shaw. Congratulations.
Incredible work.
Only one of those every year. I mean, what else would you want? If you won the Rear of the Year award, you're not going to try hard. You don't need to win any others, do you?
No, you just need to do squats.
How long do you think the Rear of the Year award has been going on for? Because I looked this up.
Since 1954.
Shut up. No, it was 1981. No,
1981?
I know. Yeah, that's right. I kind of thought it was a 90s thing. But obviously people have been having nice bottoms for even longer than that. I find it
incredibly offensive to even discuss somebody's rear. I think it's none of anyone's business.
You're just sad that you haven't won it yet.
I wouldn't need the validation because I know that my rear is the best.
Your rear is lovely.
As long as your plumbing works and you're not having any digestive issues, your bum is irrelevant. As long as you can do what you need to do in the bathroom,
that's what
do you need to know.
And as long as you can sit on it on the sofa.
If you can sit on your bum.
Maybe that's what the award is for.
There are loads of people really less fortunate than us who can't sit on their bums.
It's quite good that...
They need to have a cushion.
Do you know what? I've got a conspiracy theory. Is this why Maxine has got a bench on the street?
because she's the rear of the year.
Rear of the year.
Do you think it's one of those seats that's got, like, you know, the seats that got a little butt carved into it, for comfort?
Know what you mean?
Maybe that's why everyone runs there, to sit on it.
Now, if you missed...
Do you think it's like that seat that makes you pregnant?
Probably. If you missed Maxine on the street, then...
Don't worry.
Don't worry, because she came back in 2012, didn't she? Just briefly, on a spin-off.
Ghost of Christmas Past.
Yeah, on that Tech Santa thing when Norris was he Ebenezer Scrooge, I think?
No one knows.
I think it was.
No one can remember.
Yeah, she was the Ghost of Christmas Past, and I don't remember anything about it, but I do remember it happening.
If only he had written a story with the Ghost of Christmas Rear of the Year.
She could have been that as well.
It's a very festive thing to have a nice bum, isn't it?
I don't know, is it?
Yeah, because it looks like a Terry's chocolate orange. If you took a Terry's chocolate orange and you took a couple of segments out of it and then you kind of nestled it together, it would make a really nice looking bum.
My bum doesn't look like a Terry's chocolate orange.
Yes, it does.
Oh, thanks.
Terry's chocolate orange that you dropped on the floor and got hair all over.
Rolled under the bed. That mental image.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Should we go on to talk about news now? There you go. That's Maxine, everybody.
Did you like Maxine? Tell us what you thought. What's your best memory?
I like Maxine. And it's not just because she was blonde.
Whatever.
This is vicious rumours that Gemma's spreading about me.
I know you, Michael.
I just like that she was a bit of a ditch. She was like the Raquel replacement.
Look.
Even though they were both on it at the same time.
I'm offended by this because not only am I not blonde, but I am also incredibly, frighteningly intelligent.
And you don't go jumping into bed with every man. You're very selective.
Let's move on, because that's not true.
Shut up. I think you've got to tell me afterwards.
You know for a fact that that's not true, because I would rather sleep than do literally anything else.
Oh, just to sleep, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, there you go, Maxine. I thought she was great, but I can't really remember why anymore. But she did have the best death, and that's something worth celebrating.
She was nice.
She was nice. She was lovely, and she gave saddos like me something to strive for. Because if Curly could get in bed with her,
you
and
failed, haven't you?
if Ashley could marry her, then it means don't give up. If you think that you're not going to find somebody.
Sorry for not
Ashley married
fulfilling your
Maxine.
dreams and hopes. Chocolate bum.